Right, what's happening, boys? Today I'm going to be taking you through a posterior chain focused leg day. So hamstring and glute focused leg day. Now, I didn't used to have one of these in. It was introduced to me by my coach, just because obviously when you're training for competing on a bodybuilding stage, that is very different to competing to look good on the beach. You can't have any gaps in your physique. You need to have a complete physique from front to back. And I think the hamstrings and the glutes, especially for men anyway, are probably one of the most neglected areas. The hamstrings especially. Like, who thinks I want to have big hamstrings? I definitely didn't before I started bodybuilding, and I still don't, to be honest. It's just part of the process. To be honest, it does help in terms of like making your legs overall look better, especially from like the side and the back. To be honest, since I've started training glutes, every time I get changed, the missus is looking at it like, that's a peach I want there, sir. I want to get my ass up in that shit. The girls love the glutes, boys, not just us. We don't just love the glutes, the girls love the glutes too. So I'm going to be taking you through my entire posterior chain leg day, which I don't actually think I have shown you before. It's a grueler, I'll be honest. I nearly threw up last week, like genuinely. I had to go in the toilet for about 5 minutes because I thought I was going to throw up. We're at Apex Gym. I don't think you can see it. Usually obviously I train upper at Old School, and then I train my lower body, so my quad focused and my hamstring focused leg day at Apex, just because the equipment in terms of legs is better. At Old School, the majority of it is Panata, and I fucking hate Panata. Like, I tried to do a leg day there and I couldn't do it. I fucking hated it. The machines, I've heard they've got some new ones. They've got a pendulum and a few other bits which apparently are actually quite decent, but I just can't bring myself to use the leg extension, the lying leg curl, the horrendous straightening leg. I didn't realise it could feel so bad until I tried that machine. But here they've got, I think, the Life Fitness seated leg curl, they've got the Life Fitness leg extension, they've got the Cybex hatch squat. But then for their upper body, they've got a lot of Panata kit, so that's why I rotate between the two, is basically to avoid using Panata kit. Right, kicking off the workout, we've got the seated hamstring curl. Very, very, very good hamstring exercise. In fact, possibly even the best. Very stable, you know, you're locked in position. It's going to target those hamstrings in that lengthened to mid position, just because you are flexed at the hip, whereas the lying leg curl, where your hips are extended, you're going to be targeting the hamstrings in their fully shortened position. So with this exercise, you can get fully locked in. I use a seat belt from Assist Your Lift, which basically stops my hips from rising. Before, you know, you've got to really, really try and stop your hips and your lower back from extending, whereas with this seat belt, it really does help. So you can just fully lock in and you can feel all that tension on your hamstrings. With this one, make sure you're pushing into that pad to give some opposing force. Don't know what I was going to say there. Some opposing force. And just with this one, it's just about getting locked in and fucking killing the weight. Don't launch out of the bottom, else you're going to be using your calves. And moving on to calves, I've got them next in the workout just to prioritise them because they are a weak point, as you can see. With me being quite a long-limbed, tall person, for me to get calves, you know, I've really got to try hard. Moving on to a leg extension, as always, hitting the quads in a fully shortened position, similar to the seated leg curl. You know, you're locked in. It's the only exercise where you can actually target the rectus femoris in that fully shortened position, whereas everything else, you're not going to be able to target it. Like, there's no swap for a leg extension. And to be honest, sometimes I do get a little bit bored of them. You can see again that I'm using the seat belt to keep me locked in, so I don't need straps. I did actually end up ripping calluses off my hand from pulling too hard on the leg extension before, because as you can see, they are quite intense. And then moving on to this 45-degree hip extension, I actually really like this. It's quite a new exercise that I tried just because my coach implemented it for me. He did initially say when I first started this gym, does the gym have one? And I wasn't too sure whether it was, and it's hiding in the corner. But it's not too common, this machine, but it is very good. So if you've got one of them and you're looking to grow your hamstrings and your glutes, then I'd definitely implement that. It's going to hit the top, it's going to hit the hamstrings and the glutes in their fully shortened position. Thinking about really driving those hips into the pad and keeping those ankles locked into the calf pad, I suppose you could call it that. And then moving on to this Bulgarian Smith machine squat. I actually have a love-hate relationship with these. I do enjoy them because it's quite different. Like, I've not done them that often, same as the 45-degree hip extension. Whereas something like a hat squat, you know, I've done a hat squat for years. Whereas this, it's quite new. and it's gonna hit the glutes in their lengthened position, so you'll feel a strong stretch on your glutes at the bottom of these. So I usually position the bar sort of on my rear delt rather than my upper trap, because we want it to be more hip dominant rather than knee dominant. If it was knee dominant, it's going to be more quads. So you still will be hitting your quads, but this is mainly for glutes, and let me tell you, they absolutely ruin your glutes. And there we go, boys, session complete. I am absolutely fucked. My hamstrings and glutes are in pieces, as they should be, really, because I mean that's what we went in there to train. Quads, I've got a little bit of a pump. It's more like secondary volume, that session is, for my quads. I'm meant to do 3 sets on the leg extension, but I'll be honest, most of the time I end up skipping that 3rd set because it's so hard to get your quad fully short, especially when you've done 2 sets already. I just don't want it to take away from my split squats too much. But if it gets to a point where I'm not progressing, then I'll add a 3rd set of the leg extensions in there. But for now, everything is progressing nicely. So I'm going to go home now. The hamstring and glute DOMs are the worst. The worse than quad DOMs, because it feels like you've pulled a muscle, I think. I remember when I first started the gym, when I used to barbell squat, I think my entire posterior chain was so weak, I used to pull my hamstring every time I'd squat, because one, I'm not really built for barbell squatting at all. Like, I've got long fucking limbs, and I used to pull my hamstring every single time, which wasn't ideal, until I found hack squats and learned how to train my legs properly, and now I do enjoy training them. So if you did enjoy this video, boys, drop a like. If you are interested in online coaching, then you can inquire using the link below. As always, if you're looking to get anything from My Protein, like this sexy fucking t-shirt I'm wearing, which is actually called, I think it's the Velocity Ultra in like ice blue or something, then use the link below and code MORG for 37% off at the moment, actually, and it's going to drop down to 12, I think, pretty soon, so I'd use it quickly. So I'll see you in the next video, boys. Au revoir. Ciao.